Hello there. Welcome to Team Fortress TV. It's fully charged. It's episode, I have no idea, episode 34 apparently. And it's all about Dreamhack Summer. We've got all the representatives from the teams that are there. We've got Permzilla here from Nameless. We got the King of Squirrels himself from Perilous Gaming. From Crowns Esport Club, which we've recently been renamed from Public Layer. We've got the man himself, Thaigrr. And from Comfortably Spanked, we have Skeej and the casting talent as well. We've got a sample of that in the ever-present kaidus and Bren, which is going to be his first LAN event as well. We're gonna talk to Bren first. Are you hyped for the event?
Of course. Why wouldn't I be? You know, it's going to be pretty sick. Got a lot to prove. A lot of doubters thinking I can't do it at LAN, you know.
Do it at LAN, scrub.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to talk, though. You don't have to frag. It may be slightly easier for you to perform at LAN rather than, say, Thalash.
No, just give me half a bottle of Molly and I'll be good, you know.
Well, I think you can speak to Max about that.
I heard about this. Yeah. He's a bit all over the place, isn't he?
Yeah, I think apparently he has a knee problem. We'll leave that. We'll leave that up to the viewers. Kaidus, how are you feeling about how these four teams are going to match up at the event itself?
Yeah, I think it's looking really good actually, from like a spectator point of view. Everything's kind of been squished together, looking like a lot closer than it would have done. Like even like the supposedly like lower teams, they seem closer to like Perilous and Nameless than they did last season. I mean, it's kind of a shame Lego aren't there to kind of bridge the gap a bit more, but I think it could be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen Lego perform. Well, they performed pretty well last season. They ended up 5th to Crowns and DD5, but that was very strange happenings at the end of the season there from them. They look to be in a fairly decent playoff position in ETF12 this season, so it's unfortunate that they couldn't come. But unfortunately, who did they even? Was it Happy Farmers that they ended up losing to in the final, or Suave or somebody? Who knows? But
Serpents.
Oh yeah, it was Serpents.
That was like
wasn't
the calamity,
it? Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to run us back through what happened in that qualifier as well, just because there are some kind of interesting games that happened there. I would never have expected Serpents to be able to beat Lego, given that they haven't practiced, and they, even when they did play ETF12, they were like a mid-premiership team. They were never really a top premiership team.
And that wasn't even like a good version of them.
Mm.
Like compared to what they had, like on various points, like if you think the Russian All-Star team you could make, that wasn't anything close to it. But you do have to keep in mind that Lego had Hafikul as a coach for that game, so that probably greatly contributed to their downfall.
Apparently, he was telling them under no circumstances to pick Viaduct, and they did it anyway. They seem to really favor Viaduct, which I think is going to be interesting as well. So we're seeing Reckoner being played at this event as well, which wasn't played in the qualifiers, wasn't played last season, and has led to one upset result so far this season for sure, which was Lego against Nameless. Perm, what are you thinking coming into the event? You've had some recent kind of shakier results than otherwise expected. You still go into this as first seed, still the favourites to take the tournament, really. But is there anybody there who worries you, or is it just that Lego could have done it, but they're not there?
Well, I'm still confident when we go in. Like, obviously, we're not performing to how well we'd like to be, but it's different at LAN because there's 7 different maps for starters. So like teams haven't been practicing as much because I think most people have been practicing E12 maps and not Dreamhack maps. So there's that, and then obviously Perilous have a lot of people who haven't played at LAN before, so it can be quite different. So they might take a while to adjust to that. And all of our team have been to a few LANs at least. Spud's only been to one, I think, but everyone else has been to quite a few.
He played pretty well though at the one he did. At least the game that I saw him play there.
I didn't even watch him.
I mean, his team were like, not without making like dog joke. His teams were dog shit, but like I seem to remember like we played against him, and as like an individual, he had like a standout performance on that map. So he's like seasoned comparatively.
Oh, that's good news. I didn't know that.
Do you feel like, because Drac as well really hasn't had experience at a top team LAN, unless I'm
Well, he had Reason
mistaken?
52.
Oh yeah, he did. Right.
No, it's not a top team, but
yeah, and they had a fairly bad performance at that LAN anyway, compared to what they were hoping to achieve. Although they weren't really a top team at the time. How do you see those two meshing into the team? You got some previous LAN experience at DreamHack Winter with kind of the four four players that are now playing in the roster apart from Spud and Drac. How well do you think they're going to be able to perform at LAN? Any issues of choking there?
Well, I hope not. I mean, it's always possible, isn't it? But you'd like to think. I think once you've played once at LAN, you shouldn't choke anymore. I think the first time, it's okay to. Well, it's not okay, but you can understand people. Yeah. But having even playing a Reason with the I-52, that should be enough experience to not choke. And the same for Spud, and the same for the rest of us as well.
Drac's super level-headed.
Yeah.
He beats himself up sometimes. He feels like he's playing bad, but I don't ever feel like that affects his game, from my experience. You might hear him he'll be really disappointed with himself, but he won't let it collapse on himself.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't tilt. He doesn't tilt at all. I don't think.
He's super stable. I don't think he's gonna have any trouble.
No.
How do you think so you mentioned maps just for a moment there, talking about teams practicing the ETS12 maps. Obviously the map pool is the same, but because people have only been playing the first half of the season so far, you've really only been practicing those maps at the moment. Do you think the map ban process is going to throw something interesting into the mix? Are there any teams that you feel have good matchups on certain maps and bad matchups on others?
Well, I think it will, because there's maps which teams probably haven't played at all this season. I think Granary is one of the last maps of the season, so we haven't played at all on Granary, I don't think. So, we don't know. That could be a really good map for us. It could be a really bad map for us now. You don't know that sort of thing. So it's a bit of experimentation in the pick ban for maps, I think. But I don't know. I think you've got Paris is good maps traditionally. Is Gully. I mean, we haven't played them on it yet, but they always seem to want to pick it. I guess it's a little bit different for them having Mike and Tech now. I might change a little bit. I'm not really too sure. I think it's a bit like a coin toss, really, the map things. I think people just ban what they're bad at, and then the rest of it is just potluck, I think, mostly.
Do you buy into that, kaidus, or is there some deeper strategy that these teams will be able to implement?
I think this LAN is quite special in the way that the kind of map strengths go. Particularly with kind of the last week and how that's gone for Nameless, because going into the LAN, I was thinking, right, Nameless, they get a good solid week or so of practice on Reckoner. Viaduct should, in theory, have been one of their strongest maps, and then it only really left Granary as a potential question mark. And in terms of having a solid map pool, that would put them kind of head and shoulders above everyone else, because Perilous obviously going in with Mike having barely practiced, Tech having, I don't even know what Tech's been doing. I doubt he's played Reckoner ever. And in terms of having synergy with kind of effectively two stand-ins, you'd think having those two as the standouts, you'd think Nameless would have the veto advantage, but Nameless kind of dropped the ball on both the maps that I thought would give them the edge. So I don't really know. It's going to be a bit of a random, I think, for the first few rounds. I think by the upper bracket final, by the lower final, the grand final, by then we might see some kind of patterns emerge. But I think going into it, it's going to be a bit of feeling each other out.
Let's have a talk to Cost then. We've been discussing the Perilous roster a little bit, just because they are one of the kind of most changed rosters going into it, with both of the soldiers being a little bit different. Obviously, Mike's been playing with you this season, but he hasn't really been around the whole time. He hasn't played every game with you guys, and hasn't been fully commit. Talk us through the roster and what you're hoping to get out of them from this LAN.
You want the full roster?
Just the relevant parts.
Well, we've swapped out our resident dribbler Sideshow for Mike, and Sil has some kind of phobia of lands and/or people, so we have Tech instead of him. And they're the only players in our team that have LAN experience, other than me. Falash, Ast, and Ale have never played at LAN before.
Is that going to have an impact?
Slightly worrying. I don't think Ast is the type to choke. There's certain personalities that you just I don't expect that from him. Falash usually plays better in officials, but I don't know if that'll even translate to LAN. The only one I'm really worried about is Ale, because he seems more like the type to choke. I don't know, is that an insult? Maybe?
Probably.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he'll shrug it off.
And he said he plays on a shitty laptop with massive input lag, so he's at least gonna have some time to adjust to that. Basically, relearn how to aim because of like a completely different setup and a new environment and shit like that. You know?
Yeah. Well, the first team that you're going to be going up against is Crowns, so let's talk to them as well. Thaigrr, what's your team feeling like? You've brought in Bevan for this LAN instead of Piers, who's obviously got a lot of individual talent, comes out with the big plays, but your team has been struggling a little bit to take the full 6 points from any of the fixtures you've been playing this season. Give me a talk through, first of all, how it's been before this event, and then what you're hoping to get with the slightly altered roster.
Well, one of the main reasons we've not been really doing that well is because we've been using a lot of mercs, I suppose. We've only had, I think it was the first game, we only had the full roster. The next two I was away, I was in Mexico, so I couldn't play. And then...
A classic excuse.
And, well, the expectation for this LAN is we want to win, obviously, but we want to sort of prove that we're not shit. Like we've been playing recently, because you can't say we've been playing well. We just haven't. I think Bevan instead of Piers will be an upgrade in some ways, and a downgrade in others. Like obviously Piers has the better aim, but I think Bevan has the better experience.
Bevan's been to like so many lands, it's actually ridiculous.
Yeah, like you played last Dreamhack as well, I'm pretty sure, for the Swedish.
Yeah, like when he was active in the scene, he was one of those guys that like rain or shine, he'd be at LAN. Like even like the dog shit winter and spring ice series, he'd be there. Like summer assembly in Finland, like he went to those LANs. Like he would play, like if there was a LAN, that guy would just get there in some dog shit mixed team. Yeah, right. But he would just be there like all the time. He's probably played as many LANs as anyone playing TF2 this day. So I mean, I don't know exactly what you're going to get from Bevan because he's not exactly active anymore, but you're not going to get a LAN choke, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he's so experienced. I've never really heard of him choking at any LAN. He's always been consistently decent at a LAN from what I've seen.
He was a lot better at DreamHack Winter than I thought he was going to be, considering he hadn't played in so long, I think. So
and he has more warning this time as well. He was called in with like a week's notice or something last time. He kind of knew like a month or something. He messaged me.
Has he been practicing then?
He said like a couple of weeks ago he messaged me and said like, you know, just talking about going to LAN and shit, and he said he's got like a month to practice now, whereas last time he had like a week, so I think he has been practicing.
Well, he hasn't been playing with us, I don't think. From what I've seen, he hasn't been playing with us, but...
Did you not notice if he was there or not?
Well, no, because I wasn't there, was I? I've only been back since Monday,
right.
So...
I think you guys have been focusing on ETF as well, but he's been practicing like individually.
Yeah, I would imagine he's been playing TF2 a lot more.
He's been playing a lot of Overwatch.
I remember him saying after, like, at the end of DreamHack Winter, like, he felt like he underperformed. So maybe he's just been really keen in it this time.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think for Bevan as well, he still has in his mind how he used to be able to perform when he was playing all the time and playing at the top level. And once...
Nah, this is just Bevan. There's never been an era in Bevan's career where he didn't repeatedly exclaim that he was underperforming and didn't hit shots. Like even when he was,
fair enough.
Even when he was like at his peak after each game, he'd be like, "Oh, I just wasn't hitting my shots tonight, guys." He's like, dropped 40 frags, but just wasn't hitting my shots. It's been like his fucking mantra for about 4 years.
Right, fair enough.
Well, it'll be my first time playing with him, so it should be fun. First time at a LAN, actually. I've never been to a LAN before.
How do you think the new roster for, I was going to call them publicly, Crowns, is working out then? After they brought you in and they brought in Piers after their performance last season where they were able to take third, how has it been for you?
Well, from when I joined, Amps was instantly like 100 times happier with me and Piers rather than Flip and Medico. He said like straight away, "Oh, we're gonna do well this season," and I didn't really know what to expect because, well, I'd never really played with that kind of team before, and obviously it was like my first season in Prem the season before, so I wasn't really looking. I don't know. I wasn't looking for anything in particular, kind of thing. I just thought, oh, it's a good team, I could join. And then we started scrimming quite well. We're doing well, and the first official was a bit like everyone seemed to choke a lot. Like Piers wasn't doing well, and Amps wasn't doing very well, and things like that. But it was sort of like a wake-up call that we need to, practice more and just do a bit better. And then obviously I had to go away for a couple of weeks, so I've not really been able to see what's been happening. But we scrimmed, when was it? Well, we scrimmed a couple nights this week, and it was half decent. Some of it was good, some bad, but a lot of improvements were made.
Skeej, let's move on to your team. Comfortably Spanked are going to be taking up the fourth seed, the fourth spot for Dreamhack Summer, and you are going to be using Setlet as well instead of Adiski.
Yes, it was basically already arranged before I had to even, I didn't have to do anything for it. I think Hank talked to Setlet. Setlet was already interested in going because, his team couldn't make it, but he was one of the guys that really wanted to go. Adiski couldn't go. Well, actually, funny story. Adiski messaged us 4 days ago. And he found out that he confused the dates of the LAN, and he was like, "Oh wait, I can actually go." But yeah, Setlet booked his trip and paid even Hank's trip, I think. So now we're going with Setlet. Yeah,
excellent organizational skills.
Yeah, he was just confused. Like he was a week off with his exams or whatever. Like, how can you be a week off? But okay. So we're taking Setlet now, and it'll be fine. Too bad for Adiski, he should have planned better.
We saw you guys running a heavy and sniper, and Denio was absolutely wrecking on Viaduct in your most recent official against Perilous actually. And now you've got Setlet in as well, who's just going to hit mad pipes all over the place as he was doing on Viaduct. Is that going to be your home map?
Yeah, well, we always thought it was, but then we played our last official. So that was kind of a bummer. I have some changes I want to make to how we play that map. Don't want to give everything away. But yeah, what you're saying is probably right. We're gonna be one of our better maps, hopefully.
How do you feel like your team is progressing? When you came into the season, at the beginning of this season, I thought that you were going to be one of the standout weaker teams in Premiership, but you actually seem to have developed with the roster, and you're actually performing at a fairly reasonable level, I feel like now. Was there something that changed from last season to this season, or do you feel like you've just developed as a team a bit more? You seem to be putting up much more of a fight against the top Premiership teams or the mid-Premiership teams. You're contesting them as well.
Well, yeah, I think it's a thing of how you view it, basically, because I said this in a post-match interview, our standings last season were really bad. Like, we ended up 6th or 5th, or depending how you see it, because of that weird the tie with Sheepy's team. But anyway, all the matches that we lost, the map scores were a 1 or 2 point difference. So it was really close last season, and this season it's really close as well. Only the difference is that sometimes we actually take a map with 1 point, or we draw. So I don't think much has changed. I think I'm still pissed at Thaigrr for not being able to play and then suddenly being able to play again. It set us back a lot, but I think since a few weeks we reached the level that we were at when Thaigrr left. It set us back a bit. We gel a lot better. In the beginning, there was so much miscommunication and people having different ideas about how to play the game. Lately, I find that I don't even have to intensively main call that much anymore with a lot of micro. Everybody's giving each other these small instructions, and people understand. They get the information and they know what action to take, instead of the call having to be what action you have to take. And it clears up the comms as well. Really great. So this was exactly what I expected how we would play. Only last game kind of I was hoping to get more out of that.
So you said that you were hoping to get more out of that. Do you feel like you're on the level where you should be able to take maps, take best of 3 fixtures off Perilous, Nameless, these kind of teams? Is that what you're expecting out of this LAN event?
Yeah, I think it should be doable. Hey, we scored better against a team that's 6-0 Nameless, so...
There you go. What do you have to say to that, Perm?
Nothing.
Nothing. You've removed it from your memory.
Yeah.
Bren, how do you see these 4 teams stacking up? If I had to ask you for your predictions going into it, just based on the results now, where would you put them?
Straight up, Perilous first, Nameless second. Probably comfortably spanked third, and Crowns fourth. I'm going to say straight up right now. Apologies if I upset anyone, but that's how I feel these teams are stacking up right now, you know. Nameless haven't been looking too hot. Yeah, Nameless haven't been looking too hot recently, losing a few maps, which, you know, could be a few issues down to name calling, as have been mentioned before. Perilous have definitely been looking the strongest team right now. And comfortably spanked, I feel like they can pull out a few of these, I don't know, just vaccinator gimmick strategies that can probably tilt every other team at LAN and potentially take third. But yeah,
I've literally never used the vaccinator. I don't even know how it works.
You don't want to use
it? That's fine. You just you bind reloads to something, and then that's how you use it. And then there you go. I've given you third place at LAN just by that information. So
do I owe you something now?
Yeah, send me a few keys, but no. What was I going to say? Like, Crowns, I feel like quite an inconsistent team whenever I watch them. Like, there can be potential for, like, there's so much potential in that team, actually. It's unbelievable thinking about it. They can come, like, third or second, or maybe not second, but maybe third or fourth. But it just seems, on off days, I don't know. It's disappointing to me because there's so much potential and they just underperform on a regular basis. But who knows? LAN is a different beast altogether, I should say. So they could, like, you know, it could reignite the fire within them and they could wipe the floor with everyone. Who knows? I'm excited to see it.
Those Crowns players, the previous, the ones who were there, so Ams was playing with Smira and Onkaya, was the 3 people who were the same from the one Dreamhack roster to the second. And they actually performed pretty well. I feel like that roster, for what it was just kind of like thrown together at the last minute. That was their first tournament that they played. They practiced for like a few weeks before that. And a lot of those players that they were with as well were just kind of Saints gamers. They had Nation on Roma as well. These players hadn't really been even really mid-Premiership players. They were always kind of hanging around mid to low Premiership. And they seem to have done fairly well for themselves on a LAN setting. So
did they perform well?
Yeah, they performed pretty well.
Am I just misremembering something? Because I don't remember that team performing well.
They certainly performed well at the beginning. They took yeah, they had a game against Reason where they beat you guys on process, and then they had a super intense game against Swede Rage where they lost fairly closely. I thought it was a decent performance from the team. Yeah.
I don't remember being like particularly impressed by that. Like I don't remember the map. I remember we dropped a map to someone, but like kind of discounting that because I have my own biases there. Like finishing not in the top 2 with the set of teams that were there, I don't see how anyone can say they did well. Because that was like a really poor crop of teams, and if you're finishing not in the grand final, then I don't think you can be that proud of your achievement there. Take the map off of Reason as we were then. I mean, I don't remember the circumstances of that game, but I remember like we were not impressed with ourselves in that game. I seem to remember there was some like extraneous circumstance there, but other than that, like maybe they played good on this one map, but I don't remember a whole lot to be impressed by.
I seem to remember Smira having a much better performance than I normally see from him online. His performance at LAN was better than he usually plays.
Yeah, Smir does tend to actually step up on LAN. Like he's another one of those guys like Beaver, like these Swedes, like they just go to like a million LANs. Like he's like super seasoned. I actually do think Smir tends to like step up on LAN. But
Denier as well had a good performance, but he no longer plays for that roster. He's now playing for Comfortably Spanked, so it's going to be, there's a bit of, I don't want to say there's a bit of beef, but there's certainly a bit of roster history between Comfortably Spanked and Crowns. Skeej and Thaigrr. I mean, Thaigrr, you moved from one team to the other. Denier moved the opposite way.
Grudge match.
Yeah.
Well, it's blood from our team to Nameless as well.
It's all just very incestuous, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's kind of disgusting.
I wouldn't have used that word, but yeah, I know what you mean.
What do you think then, kaidus? Obviously, I think you're going to rate Nameless the highest one into this. Do you feel like Perilous are being overrated here by not just by Bren, but by wider community? Do people just look at Mike and Tech and go like, "Oh my god, they're so good, they're going to win"?
Because I don't think most people are even factoring tech into the discussion at the moment. I think everyone's just kind of going off what they're seeing online. I think, yeah, Perilous are being wildly overrated. I still think there's like the chance they could win based on how things are going at the moment, but it's purely due to like the huge drop off from Nameless. Like from what I see watching, it just kind of seems like I said, everything has kind of come closer together. But it's like the teams at the bottom getting better, the teams at the top, well, the team at the top getting worse, which is just brought everything together, and now we're in a position where I'm not really sure what's going to happen in the immediate future with Nameless and Perilous. Like it's going to be kind of random at this event. Like I definitely see Nameless as having the most potential for growth because they're in a huge they're in a well at the moment, but they can climb out of it. Whereas Perilous are just kind of chugging along the same as they always have done, never really being an elite team, but always being quite strong. Whereas Nameless have all the pieces to go about like 4 levels above where they play at the moment. It's just a question: do they get there at this LAN? Do they sort their shit in time? Like this swap of Stark to Pocket is entirely necessary based on the current affairs, but it's pretty large change, and I'm not sure if a week is enough time for it to have the desired effect. So I'm not sure at the moment, but I think based on experience, like for the LAN, I would put Nameless up there. Because especially because it's DreamHack, like if it was an iSeries and like Thalash, Ast, Ali, these players have never played a LAN before, if they could get there on the Thursday, play video games from like 8 p.m. till midnight, wake up, warm up for 6 hours, get used to all these like little LAN quirks that you only really learn when you get to a LAN, like the things you don't even realize about your setup that are missing until you don't have them, and then you have to spend 2 hours fixing them. You don't get that at DreamHack. You get, if you're lucky, if Sideshow's schedule doesn't go out the window within 10 minutes, you got half an hour to set your shit up and warm up before your first match. Like, this is my experience with DreamHack last time anyway. Like, as if you're the second team going on, which looking at the schedule, Perilous will be, their first match will be they're not the first team on. They'll be changing over. So in their first game, based on the way LANs normally go, they're going to have about half an hour to set their shit up and just play a match. So they're not going to have this time that you would get in an iSeries. And for like LAN virgins, I think that's a pretty big deal. Like I could see them kind of, having quite a shock in the first game, having a real struggle to beat one of these supposedly weaker teams, and then kind of, potentially being affected by that throughout the tournament. I could quite easily see that happening. Maybe not, but I think DreamHack compared to iSeries, this is something you really have to factor in because you don't get the same time you get to kind of sort your shit out.
Can I say something?
Always. Anyone is welcome to butt in at any time.
I'm going to jump in and say I do agree partly with you, like kaidus completely actually, with the fact that Nameless, they have the potential completely to take this LAN by storm because, well, they've got the chemistry as well, but it's just this sort of short-term decision that they've made to move Stark to Pocket. So for the name calling issue, but I think they've definitely got the potential to take the LAN, but it's just whether or not, as you mentioned, actually, I don't even know why I'm speaking, but I'm just confirming your beliefs that they could potentially take it if they play correctly and if they shape up in time for LAN, I guess.
Let's dive a bit deeper into the switch that you've made recently, then, Perm. So the switch, is that a permanent thing? As far as I was aware, you were only just trying it out.
Kaidus knows this. I turned up to it was a Thursday. We had scrims. Yeah. I turn up. We're in Viaduct. We're back. We're readied up. We're waiting for. I think we're playing against you. Are we?
Yeah.
And
we were late.
Readied up, and then Sil mentioned something about Captain playing Scout, and I'm like, what? And my team's like, oh, we've swapped Stark and Captain. And I'm like, great. Well, I didn't know. Like my team didn't tell me anything.
You go to bed. You go to bed like immediately after or you'd go away immediately after they play. And then
that's a valid excuse for not telling your team that you're swapping roles, apparently.
It's because they had like a long-winded discussion about it, and they got everyone on who was online at the time and talked about it for a while. It kind of just felt like everyone knew, Like I don't even fucking play, and I knew. So it's kind of like everyone just kind of knew,
The opposite team knew, yeah.
I can only tell you what I know. Maybe it's because this is completely wrong. You should probably be asking kaidus, to be honest. But we played like one live scrims in it, and as far as I know, it's still like not a definite thing. But
no, it's not like a 100% thing, but it's something I think the plan is to try it for a couple of days and see how it goes. But my impression is that, well,
I mean, we've got an official on Monday against Come to Be Spanked, so I assume that we'll be because we got scrims on Sunday and then official on Monday. I assume we'll have Stark on Pocket for both of them, and then maybe reassess before practicing for DreamHack, I guess.
Like I think what happens.
You have a scrim. You have a game on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20.
30.
It's at 20. It's at 20.
Before
It's
the
the
other
only day
match,
we
see.
can
you
play
don't shit
this
your
week.
pants.
Right. I was a little bit shitting my pants there.
Yeah. The thing is, I think for Nameless, a lot of it comes down to like this whole Stark thing. It's going to come down to what happens in that match because I don't know, something that's really not been stated when people are like discussing Nameless's issues at the moment is it's a huge like question of mentality and almost choking to an extent because their scrims, like they're not as good as the scrims they played the season before that, going back like the past 6 months. But the drop off from their scrims to their matches, it's a fucking like it's a disaster to see. Like, as I watch quite a lot of their scrims, and then I watch the matches, and I'm just like, I don't see this like same crap in the scrims, and they just kind of need someone in around the combo at the heart of the team to give certain players confidence, and I think that's really what they're missing most of the time. Like, I think the way they play in scrims, it puts them on par with Perilous, maybe it's just slightly above Perilous, the way they play in scrims, but then in matches, something happens to them, and it puts them, the way they performed over the past few weeks puts them below that, and honestly, like, I don't think Nameless have to be 100% to win this LAN, to win this season. They need to be like 80%. So with Starkov Scout, they can still hit that 80% of their peak. They just need to sort these small matters out. But I think what happens in that match, and if we see that these problems are going away, these mentality issues, I think that's probably what the deciding factor would be.
I think people are assuming that that we're like tilting in Mumble and stuff, but I really don't think that's the problem. Like, I know other people can't hear the calls, but it doesn't feel like that to me. It's not that we're tilting once we're losing. Like, even in the Lego game, we're still pretty calm when we're 2 rounds down on Viaduct. It's not a matter of like tilting and stuff. People seem to just assume that if we lose, but it's like this is basically what Kaidus said. I just wanted to.
Would you not say that the fact that you can perform in scrims but you can't perform in officials is an indicator that you're gonna choke at LAN rather than the other way around?
Well, choking and tilting are different. Like, choking is just like,
well, they have the same
bad.
effect.
They have the same effect, but they're different. Like, it doesn't.
There's different reasons, but it has the same outcome. If you
I don't
can't
know, I'm not
perform
sure.
under the pressure, then LAN is going to be a lot more pressure than.
I don't think it. I
an
don't think it is
ETF12
that
official.
because, like, obviously everyone's so used to playing officials. It shouldn't be a big deal anymore. Like, choking in official should be something new players should do, or maybe if it's like your first season in Prem or something like that. Like,
Yeah,
it shouldn't be an issue anymore.
But you are choking in officials.
Worth pointing out here that Perilous have never performed in a big game to date, so who's choking and who's not doesn't really matter. Like, if both teams are choking, it comes down to a whole different set of issues.
Well, yeah, then it's just a
Mike
shit
never
show.
chokes.
Apart from Mike. It'll
Yeah,
just be
Mike
Mike
and
versus
Ted
Stark.
just pound.
Mike and Stark will just
always.
MG for the championship. Just
I'll
leave
take
everyone else
that.
on the
I
sidelines.
think Perilous will take that.
Yeah.
So, let's dive a little bit deeper into this then. While we've got the two of you here, who I guess you're frequently sitting on the comms as well. Do you, Kaidus, as well? So you
Yeah,
have
like
an
one or
insight
two
into that.
nights a week. Yeah, sitting on like 1 or 2 nights a week.
So if you don't feel like you're tilting when you're losing, and you don't feel like there's people choking, what is the problem in the combo? Have you been able to narrow it down to something in particular? Is it you're lacking somebody going aggressive at the right time, or you're lacking somebody making initiation calls, or what's the problem with it?
It's just something's missing where it's combining the like coordination of the team, because our team's like split into 2 quite heavily. Like, you've got the combo and the flank, and the Stark calls for the flank quite well. He usually calls for him and Drac mostly. Well, when he's playing Scout, obviously he's not anymore. But if the problem is it's the sync between the combo and the flank, I think. But also that the combo is a little bit out of sync. That's what the problem feels like to me. But Kaidus might have a better, because he's in spec as well, so he might have a better idea about it than me.
I mean, there's some like blooding issues in terms of like moving Spud into the role that I used to play. Like, not that Spud's playing bad, but like it's kind of, I don't know, without like kind of going off on some self-indulgent like self-praising. Like, it's the role I had in that team was like quite important, like, to put it one way. So it's kind of like fitting Spud into that has kind of been like a task of its own, because he has his own way of playing the game. We've been trying to like fit those two together, but the main problem that I see comes from when they play matches. Like, it's not like choking, but it's just kind of like indecision. Like, when you're playing scrims, you just kind of do things that feel natural, and you don't really second guess them or question them. And then in the matches, like, you question them and you kind of do these indecisions. And the playstyle we had when I was calling, it kind of took into account that people did this, and we just made sure our executions were like 99% perfect, so we could kind of have these weird indecisiveness, not like be aggressive and not like take these large risks, and not do the plays that people didn't feel sure on. And then I would just tell people like, I'm sure this is going to work, do this now. And that would kind of give people confidence. And there's just not been a voice in the combo to do that. And it all kind of comes from the combo. Like if Stark's doing something on the flank, that's the only time it would ever happen. So I feel like
isn't that like isn't that basically the definition of choking? Like Koss said, like
Yes.
in a way,
they need
but it's
like
not
you're
quite
the
same,
leader,
though.
and whenever you make a call, everybody knows
Yeah,
that
they need
as
a
long as
leader,
I follow that
basically.
call, I know the play is going to
there's-
work.
Yeah, but
And,
it's like
yeah.
it's not choking. It's a lack of leadership. Any team with a lack of leadership would have it. It's like not choking though.
Yeah, but if you
It's
can
like a
do
set-
it, if you can do
I
it in
guess it's
scrims
semantics.
without a lack of leadership, and yeah, literally is a semantic argument. If you can do it in scrims without lack of leadership, but then when it comes to an official, everyone's indecisive, and you don't do anything because of it, like running around timer out because you're so indecisive.
But yeah, but
Then
it's
That's
it's a
an
lot
issue.
more-
That
and
wasn't
how is that not?
indecisiveness. That was lack of experience on the map and the ability to adapt quickly, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, that-
so
that
you
was a
didn't
different
have someone
situation, yeah.
being
That-
decisive about what
But
you
yeah,
should do.
that was
Yeah,
the
but
leadership, but that
like,
wasn't
if that
something
was-
they would
if
have
that-
fucked that up in scrims
If
as
this
well.
was
Probably.
if this was any other map we'd play, like different ways to break stalemates on last and stuff. But it's a new map. We hadn't played it very much. We hadn't had we played that in scrims. We never had like that
Yeah,
much
but
problem with it.
if you
that
had that
situation.
leadership role, if kaidus was playing that game instead of Spud, then you would have had a leader in the team that wouldn't have let you run the map timer out. Would have said, "All
Well, we
right, fuck
didn't-
this
We didn't
stupid
run it out.
shit."
Like we just
Pretty
didn't
sure
have.
you did.
Well, we obviously the timer ran out, but we didn't like intentionally sit there and leave it out. That's what I'm trying to say. Like we did try things, but it was the lack of creativity on last because it's a new map. That's what I was trying to say.
just for the record, I completely think they choked like 1 or 2 times. I'm not in any
my
way
God.
saying I'm not in any way claiming they didn't choke, but I think when you say they just choked, that makes the issue sound like something that it's not. Like it makes it sound like just to like for a random individual name, and that makes it sound like okay, for the meme, that makes it sound like Happy Cool just decided, oh shit, no, I'm shitting my pants and I can't play TF2 today. Like head's gone, all that kind of
Yeah,
crap.
you're saying that
It's not the case. Like it's not how it's going down. It's not like individuals
Okay,
using
so
their
It's a more
heads.
we
structural
just
thing.
have
Yeah, it's just a
different
lack of leadership,
definitions of the
essentially.
word choke.
No, we don't have different definitions of it. It's just there is like individuals choking because they can't handle the pressure, and then there's just teams not really like establishing themselves in the game. I think like they're both choking, but it's like one is fixable by switching leadership around, which is what we're talking about. It's not like an unsolvable kind of choking where you just don't have the head for it. Because we've seen these players, Captain, Haffy, Perm, they've all stepped their game up in the biggest games they've ever played, but they just need a leader in there to help them do it. So that's why it's like to say they're just choking, it makes it sound like some unsolvable thing. But all it takes is a little bit of leadership, and you'll see.
Well, let's discuss the solution
Okay.
then, rather than going on about the problem again and again. You're starting to go towards a solution by switching Stark over to Pocket and putting Captain on Scout.
Am I
And
the
you-
only one that thinks that's a considerable downgrade, though?
Yeah, I think it is a downgrade, and kaidus alluded to it in terms of like they only have to perform at 80%, right? And Captain and Stark are going to be able to perform at 80% with the calling, etc. But is that a long-term solution? Would it not be better to try and develop one of your combo players who actually, is a combo player to become that leader? Would it not be better to try and develop one of those players to develop those skills that they need in order to lead the team? Perm, are you not going to step up and
Like
lead?
I don't think any person in the combo, apart from like maybe Spud, I don't think me or Captain have the right traits and the right voice and that sort of thing to be this main caller. I think because when kaidus first left, when we were trying demos at the beginning of the season, Captain sort of wanted to try main calling, and it didn't really work. Not being like rude to him, but it's not the same thing as having someone like kaidus or Stark or someone main call. There's a massive difference. Like I noticed it straight away as soon as Stark moved to Pocket for the scrims we had. There's just this voice. It just needs to be like a leading sort of person, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I don't think me or Captain could do that.
I agree, you blow.
Yeah, but is that worth taking your best player off his main role?
Yes.
Wait, if it solves the problem,
That's
like the
fucking
problem,
stupid. If one of you can't just man up a main call.
No,
it's not.
really
It's
like
not
that.
But
about
you have
manning
to-
up. It's not about manning up. Like Captain's tried. Like it just. people can't main call.
Perm's growing a beard in his attempt to man up, but he's
Yeah.
only halfway there, man.
Like, you should have enough of an understanding of the game that you can main call.
It's not about
It's not
understanding the
it's
game.
not understanding
That's like a
it. That's
retarded
what I
thing to
said.
say.
I think you're
It's
underrating
about-
it now, Carl.
It's about the voice and the leadership you have within the team and the ability to like control your team. It's not about understanding.
It's like you
understanding the
asking
game.
Ass to main call. He's just not that type of player.
Yeah, yeah.
He understands the game, but can you imagine Ass, you're main calling now, kid? Do you imagine what would happen in that situation? Because Captain's like a quiet player as well. Like, he's not this kind of guy, and it's the same for Perm. Like, some people, they understand the game perfectly, but they just don't have that thing going on in their head to communicate all their thoughts to people whilst doing their, like, motor functions. Like, I can't believe for a second you honestly believe Ass could suddenly main call if you
No, I
needed to.
don't, but that's...
But then what
a
are you
good
saying? You're
comparison.
What are you talking about,
bullshit,
Cos? Yeah, you definitely could. He's going to be main calling for Dreamhack. I've made the decision, executive decision. Ast is now main calling to prove a point. No, I get what you said. Let's throw it over to Crowns and Comfortably Spanked as well. What's your input on the whole kind of leadership roles within your teams? Do you have like a decisive main caller, or do you have a bit more like Perilous where everyone's calling on the team? What are the layouts within your team in terms of that?
For us, it's a mix between Smear and Kaya. They've apparently always done it since like they started playing together, really, I suppose. Sometimes, helps with the calls a little bit, and then they obviously like take into consideration the flanks calls and things like that, and then we go off that pretty much. There's no like one dedicated caller, pretty much. If there was one, it'd probably be it's so like 50-50 with Kaya and Smear, it's hard to say.
Yeah, for me, for Spanked, it's been me always. Like I said, I'm starting to micromanage less and less because of the team play like improving, and also because of Quick. Quick was a player, he's like a DM beast, but he really needs like micromanaging. Replacing him with Vanilla is basically the exact opposite. I've been more like sharing the main call with Vanilla more and more. He has some really good insight into the game. Sometimes we clash, but most of the time it works.
Yeah, I saw the move from Quick to Vanny as an excellent move for your team. Whenever you play Viaduct as well, he absolutely pounds on Scout, and his soldier player performance is pretty good as well.
I knew that he had the DM, but I forgot how fucking good it was, man. Yeah.
Bren, have you taken a look at the Comfortably Spanked lineup now that they've got Vanny there instead of Quick? What do you think of that change?
How much LAN experience does Vanny have?
Do you know what? I'm not sure.
He's
He's
very
very
old.
old,
He played with Saints I-49, I know that. That's the only
Yeah,
time
he's
I
been on
remember
a
being
few
there with him.
I-Series, and I think he's been to the online gamer lands.
Oh yeah, of course he will have played at Ogie LAN.
Because it's all going to depend on that, really, isn't it? Because LAN, as I mentioned before, it's a slurring my words all over the place. It's a different beast altogether. Like, generally, people's online performances can be completely overshadowed by their LAN experiences, and then vice versa as well, where they can completely underperform. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see. But if you guys say he's been at LAN before, go with what you guys have been saying, and
Yeah, and Vanny is like, he's like, I wouldn't say like stone cold, because he's always like positive and nice, but nothing tilts him basically. Like he just plays, and nothing can get him off his feet.
That's good. That's a good attribute to have when it comes to teams, because there's a lot of teams that are far too toxic when it comes to it. But like, if you can have a calm member of the team who can basically turn up when it's needed, then I can definitely see a high hope in the future anyway for Comfortably Spanked coming up to DreamHack anyway. So I definitely don't rule out any of the teams to come into first place when it comes to DreamHack. Maybe, I guess I kind of rule out Crowns and Comfortably Spanked to an extent, but I think they've definitely got the potential to prove me
rule out
wrong.
any of the teams. We just rule out half the teams. That's what's fair.
Like, to an
It's better to
extent,
create these expectations, so some nice upsets can be made.
Exactly, like it just makes it all more hype. Like that this like horse just rolling through DreamHack
Narrative.
and just like stealing it from them, But yeah, I think that every team that's going to be attending DreamHack right now could potentially take it under the right circumstances. Although if I was to put odds on comfortably spanked, it would probably be like, I don't know, 60-1. If that's if that's shit talking, I don't know, because I'm a bit inebriated. But
no, it's fair enough. I mean, the only reason that we're at this LAN is because like the teams above us that were selected above us couldn't go. So.
I think without peers, I could easily see you guys placing third without what are they called, crowns. Without them having peers, I could easily see you guys taking third. I was actually I remember watching you guys play. Was it Lego on Snake, where you just like cracked out like 3 completely different like mids, like every mid you just changed something up like so dramatically. I can see that tilting the shit out of a team on LAN if you just like winning 3 mids like that.
Yeah, that was just in a period when I had more time on my hands, like those weeks. So we had like a set of like 5 completely like set mids, like with everybody having exact instructions what to do. And I cannot find the time to do that for other maps and not for LAN. Like everything is so short term, and it's in the ETF2L season. So yeah, I can already say that you're not gonna see that kind of unless I find some time to quickly do that with my team. But
well, this is like VOs, man, isn't it? Like you just have to VO the right maps, get the right maps in. Just have you need to be good at like 3 maps.
True.
Just keep it a secret which it is, so people don't know which ones to ban.
Just too late. Tell them that it's the exact opposite.
Okay, good tip.
What I wanted to ask about as well was how you guys think crowns and comfortably spank are going to stack up against each other. You mentioned a little bit about it there with PS not being there. You consider that a downgrade. I feel like crowns have so much potential. They have so many decent players, and when I saw them going into this season, it looked like a really good roster that they would be able to make gel and have a nice start, but for some reason it's just not been going well for them. At the moment I'd actually put them below comfortably spanked in terms of their current performance.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I'd agree as well.
Wow.
Oh, that's a bad insult.
Like they can beat them if they just like sort of short the shit out. Okay, it might be alright.
Pretty much because we never play with a full roster.
Yeah.
But you're not playing with full roster at LAN as well.
Yeah.
Like, and I think Beaven's a weird one. Like, I get why you got Beaven. He's local. He's been to LAN a million times. But like, Piers for Beaven, this is not like a switch that makes any sense. You might as well have in terms of the playstyle that matches each other.
Zebo's doing something else. I can't remember what it was. We did ask Zebo if he wanted to
Is
play.
it Overwatch?
Overwatch?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's playing at Dreamhack for Overwatch or something like that. I don't know.
No, there's a different. There's a ONOG tournament going on at the same time.
Oh, is it? Right, okay. Well, yeah, there you go then. So I didn't really have a say in it, to be honest. I just let them go along with whatever they wanted to do. But there was no really other good option besides Beaven, because Perez has his exams and you can't really skip them for a LAN.
He's studying in Sardinia. Dude, I think we should have a LAN at his house because that place looks amazing.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Exactly. He has invited us all.
I just want his dog. His dog looks sick.
So what do you think has been the issue with your team have properly unlocking your potential? Why have you been, I mean, we see the tweets every game where you're like,
fucking
guaranteed 6
it's
points.
fucking amps.
Right, but obviously, even not taking 6 points from some of the fixtures would be okay, but there's been, it's not even really an underperformance because you've never performed above that, but it's an underperformance compared to where you could potentially be, I feel, and you've not been able to hit that. What's holding you back? Apart from the whole not scrimming with the same roster thing.
Say sometimes the calls with my team, it's a very tilt-based team. Like, as everyone knows, Kaya can tilt quite a bit, Amps can tilt quite a bit, and then they just go silent. Like, the only 2 or 3 people I would say that, like, even I tilt a bit, but not nowhere near as much as they can, pretty much. The only 2 people that are really like level-headed most of the time, and is Smear. Smear never tilts or anything like that. He just does what he does, kind of thing. Turns up, goes away.
I think your strength is also your weakness. Basically, all the players are like individually strong in their decision making. Just like you said, there's no real main caller. Yep. But your players also have like tendency to want to make individual plays, which can cause the problems.
Atomic. It's fucking Atomic. Yeah. It's playing with Atomic's a lot different than what I'm used to playing with as a flank like player, I suppose, because there pretty much isn't one, because he's always behind or dead. So like there's always a place where we get fucked. Like we might have a really good push with the combo, but then the flank just isn't existent. So then the flank comes in behind and kind of fucks us. Like I can't hold it on my own. Like there's nothing I can really do. But I don't know.
Tomek has to be like the most overrated player I've ever seen. That's not even rated to begin with.
Who?
Atomic.
Oh. I don't even understand
Jesus.
what that means. Wait, is he part of the lineup for LAN?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's
Nice.
overrated, but he's not rated yet. That's
Yeah.
what I got from that.
Do you know what I mean? That makes
No.
sense in my head.
No, not really.
Like
I know what he means.
He
Like,
gets,
he's
like-
not rated, but people
he's
still
not
like,
rated. Like
think
he's
he's better
like-
than he is.
yeah, like I think he's a massive detriment to your team, basically. But people think he's okay. Whereas I think he's the single biggest reason you guys don't perform to the rest of your players' potential.
I mean,
when-
surely if I heard that from Kaidus himself, like I'd want to completely show you up at LAN, and that might just spur him on further.
It's
He
not,
may
it's
have
not
just
even that he's like.
uh,
It's not that I actually think he's like a bad player, but he just. I feel like the way he plays just compromises everything about the rest of your team.
He's a double-edged sword. Like if what he does works, it works really well, and we can take like a couple of points or like an entire round with it. But then if it doesn't work, we usually lose the same
High
amount,
risk
kind
reward,
of thing. Yeah. And he doesn't have like a sort of passive button, as some people would like say. You know, you could tell someone, all right, just play passive now. You can't tell Atomic just to play passive.
You
He
need
just
to
doesn't
know.
fucking listen.
When to go aggressive.
And then he also sort of Kaidus will sort of say, oh yeah, like everyone try and stay alive, and then like 5 seconds later you just have Atomic, okay, I die now. There's nothing you can do about it. It just happens, and it's obviously a bad thing, but
I feel like he would be a better player in a team that didn't have AMS as the pocket. And I feel like AMS would be a better player in a team that didn't have Atomic as the flank scout. Because I feel like they just, like the way AMS plays and the way Atomic plays are just like, I don't know, they just don't fit together in the same team. I can see with Bevan replacing Pierre's, Kaya just being alone, like for 90% of this land, Kaya and Smear just on a fucking island by themselves, getting repeatedly shanked in the ass just over and over and over again. Because there's going to be no one near them. AMS is going to be deep, like you're roaming doing your thing, Atomic is God knows where, and Bevan will just be somewhere not hitting his shots by his own judgment. I feel like things could go really seriously wrong at this land.
I think if Atomic sorts his shit out and just like, if he can halve his deaths or maybe even like quarter, like, you know, just take a bit of his deaths away, we would do instantly better, I think. Because, I mean, just having numbers is obviously a big thing, but him just not dying behind to like a 2v1 and maybe getting a scout pick isn't really worth it, I suppose. But he does have his moments as well where it's just like he gets either extremely lucky or just has really good aim for very few like moments.
That's kind of what I was getting at with like my original statement. Like he has these moments, and then because of the way TFTV is cammed these days, it's all the cheap feed, and you only see the good bits. And no one, if you're not paying attention, you don't actually realize that he's dying half the time doing nothing. You just the camera's only on him the 10% of the time this shit's working. So I feel like there's a lot of like, Atomic, wow, he's so good in chat. But it's like, actually, every time this team's losing a fight, it's starting from him and dominoing from there.
That will not be the case at Dreamhack Summer, though. He'll get shown up to his full potential because we are doing the event live. So he's not going to have the cam on him when he makes a big play. He's going to have the cam on him, you know, just like a random percentage of the time.
He'll also have Unkaya fucking stabbing him in the neck if he does anything wrong, I suppose.
Yeah, that's very possible. I mean, there's big potential for you to fix those kind of mistakes at LAN.
Oh yeah, it's an easy thing to fix. It's just whether he listens.
You have a lot of time in between games if somebody else is playing. Like, if there's two different... if the opposite two teams are playing straight after you, you have a long time to sit there with your team in person. And I don't think that can really be overstated. The communication advantages that literally being in front of somebody can benefit with, because I swear when we go through strats or when we talk about some problems, Sil's watching anime, Kos is eating his burger, Ast is chopping wood, Thalash is Snapchatting somebody, and Ali's just drawing dicks on tactics.tf. So there's real potential, I think, for Atlan. I know a lot of teams, or not a lot of teams, there was only 4 of them at the previous Dreamhack, but who was it? I think it was it may have been publicly actually, was sat there watching through their games afterwards and looking at what they'd done and talking to each other as well. Because you have a lot of time and you're sat in the room with each other and you're all drinking and you can have like a look back at the games and analyze kind of what went wrong and what you want to look at a little further. You can develop, I think. So if there's specific problems like that, there's a potential for them to get fixed. Whereas if you have a lot of problems, then it's less likely for something to very specifically get picked up on.
I think it was after I-55, Hafi said to me he learned more about TF2 that weekend, about how to play, than he did like for the entire like time he'd been in Prem up to that point. Just because we were like going over with demos with Nox and shit, like after we lost games, like we would all just sit around Nox's PC and Nox would like go through the demo in front of us using the mouse and so we could all follow it in real time. And I think he said something like that to me after that LAN. But like if you go to a LAN with the intention of winning and doing your best, and you don't do that stuff, then you're doing LAN like wrong. Obviously, if you go just to fuck around and have fun, then no need. But your goal is to like win, and you don't do that, probably not making the most of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, it'll be my first LAN, so obviously it'll be a big learning curve for me, I suppose, as well as it'll be preparation for I-58, which I'm definitely going to be playing at, so it'll be good.
Have Comfortably Spank got plans for I-58 as well? Is that going to be something you're attending, Skeej?
For sure, yeah, with the actual lineup.
The actual lineup, as in one player different, is that what you mean?
Yeah,
with the Disky rather than Skeej.
With the Disky,
rather
if you
than
want to
Zealot,
say that. Yeah.
Talking of I-58, actually, Paulson, the demo man for Jasmine T, sent me a message just a few hours ago saying, "Yo, dude, just letting you know that I may have our fundraiser up in the next hour or so." He unfortunately doesn't, but it should be up in the next day or so. So, if you were expecting a big announcement, it's not coming, but it's very soon. So that's the Australian team that should be coming over. So there you go, confirmed live in front of you that an Australian team is planning to go, because they were, of course, having some problems with Brutalix having left the team. You talk about instability in the roster or potential toxicity or whatever, but there's a prime example.
Where do you guys see, speaking of I-58, I guess, where do you guys see Australia coming into I-58, if at all, to be honest, without Brutalix? Because he was pretty much the driving force between their team and micromanaging them to absolute perfection. But do you see them as a threat, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask?
They will lose to PC Master Race in the final.
Right. They'll make it to the final, though, along with PC Master Race. Just the vaccinator suddenly found as the new incredible meta. I mean, they have that in other games, right? In like Dota, they'll just have like a meta for that one individual tournament that'll suddenly break out and everyone has to adapt to it. Maybe we'll see that for I-Series. Everyone has to suddenly adapt to the vaccinator, as Valve buff it 2 days before the event.
Unlock. It's terrible.
It's a shit weapon.
Permzilla, did the loss against PC Master Race not make you want to pick up the vaccinator?
No, it made me want to get other people to put it down.
That's not how you win. You can't go the Epsilon strat and just ban strats that work against you.
If only I was admin still.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Vaccinator would already be gone.
Yeah. Like mid-season, just, YOLO.
What do you guys think of Reckoner?
Hard to judge, but the lobby area on last is like the worst thing I've ever experienced. I think. I hate the lobby from second to last. Like standing in it there's so many different sight lines and spam areas, and just things can come from everywhere, and it doesn't feel like.
You mean when you're pushing outwards to second?
No. When you're pushing last from second.
Okay.
I despise mid.
Like I think the rest of the map is okay. It's just
I really like the
lobby.
mid, yeah.
I despise the mid.
I have never seen any interesting or fun fight happen on second.
I think second's the best point. The
Really?
best point, yeah. For a soldier anyway, because you can just bomb every entrance. It's quite easy. They're all choky, so it's not difficult to keep people out of them.
Do you think it's a worthy replacement for Sunshine?
Yeah,
Yes.
fucking AIDS was a bird replacement for Sunshine.
Yeah, I don't like Reckoner, but it's better than Sunshine.
Right. Okay. So.
I think it could be good, but like I don't think anyone's really properly figured it out.
Yeah, I think that's half the problem. Like points are sort of harder to. It's easier to hold something you don't know too well than push something you don't know. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, also because the other team doesn't know how to hold it, so
Yeah,
it's,
but, like,
easier to push.
It's easier to hold. I think. Like it's easier to hold something if you haven't played it much than like making a coordinated and synced push. I think. I think
Defense
that's why.
already has an inherent advantage. Yeah.
And I think that's why, like, in new maps are always quite stalemate at first. I mean, like, Sunshine had like 2 seasons and it was still stalemate, so that's why it got removed, I guess. But time will tell if teams can actually push on Reckoner. Or maybe it's just us, I don't know. But
Sunshine's just another stupid sniper map.
I think it's one of those maps that no matter how well practiced you are, I think mid is always going to be really hard to push into. Just because of how, like, the entrances are.
What, Reckoner?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only viable way I've seen to push mid is under,
Yeah.
with hard.
Well, you can go under, but then you just get spammed to death. You can't go, like, towards, if you're looking into mid from the left, because it's just a long hallway. Yeah.
Toxic. Yeah, that's literally... I don't know why anyone would ever go there. Because going into mid, it's AIDS.
Yeah.
Going from mid to
push lobby
second,
left.
it's AIDS.
It's hard though, because you just take so much damage going through. Like, yeah, you could get through, but you're already going to be like you're going to be hurt compared to what they're going to be, because they've got the high ground and the spam advantage.
But the problem is, if you push under, if the team knows that you're always going to do that, it's so easy to bomb and spam as well.
Well, anyways,
Under?
easy if you know.
Yeah.
It's more difficult to spam under than it is the toxic area, if you have a defendant team.
What's the toxic area?
On the left.
On the left from the defender's perspective.
Where the big health pack is if you go down the stairs. That one.
With the
Yeah, where you
toxic
go down
barrels.
the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible.
You just said it's okay.
No, wait. I think I'm still confused. What's like this small hallway where you go up the big stairs?
What?
Where if
Small
you
hallway, big
push out
stairs.
to that to middle,
The one with the toxic barrels is toxic.
okay.
Yeah, it's
we
got
call
all the
that
barrels
lobby.
in the corner. That's lobby.
Lobby.
How is that lobby?
You call
What
it
universe is that a
lobby
lobby?
from mid to second. You call it lobby.
It's like context dependent, man. It works.
The fucking
terrible.
The fucking worst. The worst
I've
bit
never
is
seen worse calls in
We've
a
got
game than in
calls,
TF2.
What
They're
if
so
you
bad.
What about balcony on Badlands? It works for mid and for second.
I always hated that as well. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but you can be on second and you can be talking about 2 different lobbies that are opposite sides of second.
Okay, maybe we have to like
So
review
there's a
our,
scout in
our
lobby.
location
The
color.
scout could be in 2 different places.
Okay, fair enough.
Nameless were having this exact conversation the other day when they were naming whatever the house is between second and mid, and then
which
the lobby
one?
between
Left or right?
Cargo.
the main one.
Cargo. It's not called cargo.
It is called cargo.
Some-
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
called
remember who
cargo.
tried to call
Are
it.
you talking
Is it
about
called
the bigger
Coco?
one then?
We just call it house, I think.
We're just trying to
House
call
fucking
different
hell.
places,
What they
different
call cargo,
countries.
called toxic.
We have
We have
South
Russia,
Korea, North Korea, and
yeah, South Korea,
Viaduct.
North Korea, and we've got Russia and Japan on Reckoner.
How
I
how
hate
high
when
was you
people
when you were
do
thinking
that.
of that?
So
Mate,
stupid
it's
when
just-
people do that, man. Because you've
Why?
like it always seems like you should make it as easy as possible for a map to become established, and often it will be like the top teams that establish names for things. So like for example, Haunter. It's called Haunter because a top player Haunter used to always hide there in Prem games. So all the top teams started calling it Haunter, and now that is just like gospel. That's like trickled down as the maps become established. But then when you name things like these random dog shit names that make no sense, it's just like I don't know. I feel like in pugs, like it doesn't transition.
Do you think any like open player now calls it
Obviously.
Haunter and thinks, "Oh, that's Haunter because
No.
Haunter hid there 10
No,
years ago"?
it's
The
not.
point
It
is- the
doesn't
point is
matter
the
if you
name
know
makes
why it's
sense.
there. Yeah.
The point is the name made sense, and everyone, like all the teams agreed on it. But if you hear Nameless calling it toxic, you hear this other team calling it this. I don't. It just seems stupid and like overcomplicating things.
We
It's like
just
when-
call
Why-
it skeej then.
It was like when you were playing
Why
that.
is
was it?
overcomplicated?
It's not. It's just when
People
you
making
no,
it
I'm not talking about
complicated.
those names. I'm talking about like South Korea and like fucking Gandalf Summer Cave and shit like this. Like,
Well, Gandalf
I'd love
Summer
to-
Cave takes like 5 minutes to say, so that's obviously a bad one.
It's like, I don't know.
South Korea and North Korea makes perfect sense, man. On
It
product,
works really
right?
well.
You have that like balcony thing with a fence in front of it. There's like the middle entrance on product. What do you call that?
What? China?
No. China's the
the
balcony.
other side.
Right? China's the balcony.
Cliff.
On the other side. No, not on the other side of the cliff. The other side of the house.
I don't think we have.
Exactly. You don't have a name for
Fucking
it.
idiot.
So
What,
the
on
top
top?
bit is North Korea, and the entrance at the bottom is South Korea because it's next to Japan and China. Hello.
Why don't you
Where's-
just
where
call
the
it
fuck is
fucking
Japan?
I
bridge?
literally don't know what you're talking
What's
about.
where's Japan on?
Oh my god, are we gonna have to go into the server?
Do I have to keep,
You know,
keep like
okay,
Google Maps
you're-
next to
you-
my
you-
game when I'm playing?
You're coming out of spawn, and you go through main, and then there's the house in front of you.
Yeah, fence. Jack calls it fence. There you go.
Yeah,
I've-
yeah,
I've
Are you
heard
talking
it
about
fence.
are you talking about the sheet metal?
Yeah, the sheet metal, and it's like
Yeah.
kind of
Main.
like a little bridge.
I just call
yeah,
it
so
main as
main,
well.
but then
It's just
also
main.
by countries.
It's an
also-
extension
because
of Maine.
we got Japan and China, you fuckwits.
I
What
don't
is
know where
Japan?
Japan is.
What is
I've never heard
Japan?
anyone
I
call
don't
it
think the
Japan.
average TF2 player even has a geography to put this together.
If you don't know where Japan, China, and Korea are, you're fucking retarded.
This is TF2.
Okay,
What do you
weeaboo.
think you're dealing with?
Go watch anime.
Look, we've strayed vastly off
We're gonna
topic
have
here.
What were we
very
talking about
accurate
again?
calls. We're gonna win a son because we're gonna have more accurate calls of where people are in the map.
Well, oh yeah, Permzilla's in North Korea.
I still don't understand why North Korea is on the map. Can you just like? I actually am genuinely curious. Like,
Next to Japan.
It's
What you,
above
what you
South
call
next to
main?
Japan.
I've said
What-
this last
what you
time,
call
I don't know
main?
where Japan is. Tell us where Japan is.
So what's
Right,
Japan?
you got China,
Next
which
to
is where the
China.
sniper
Yeah, yeah,
stands,
right, yeah.
and then
Everyone
Japan
knows
is like the
China.
other side of a house, but still on that same balcony area.
So, like on the balcony.
Yeah, but the other side of a house.
Like
Like
above,
top,
above
I
Maine.
think we call that top house, basically, don't we?
Like-
Yeah, how
I don't
fucking
know.
long does that take to
house.
say? Top house?
Say
Well,
No,
could be
not-
inside the house, could be
Not the
outside the house.
stairs. The
The
left
map's like
side
3
is
feet
just.
wide. You just
Well,
point
do
to where
you-
he is.
I'm not
Point
even
to
going
where
to
he is.
You're just like he's over there, lad.
Feel
You
sorry
don't
for
even
him,
have
like,
a
a new
3D
location for every
mumble.
5 meters.
Or you could just say he's main.
Jesus.
It's like, if you look main, you're
No,
gonna
'cause
see him.
main
Yeah, but you
is
already
the
have a main.
entrance.
Oh, right main, left main, right main, whatever you want to fucking
Right
I
main,
don't
left
care.
main. You just say Korea.
Why?
I feel sorry for anyone who works for this team and just listens to these calls. Has no idea what's going on.
Tech is not going to have a fucking clue. Okay.
Seriously, why don't you just call it main?
Because there already is a main.
Then
This-
call it Gucci
What's
Mane.
main? What's
you-
main? Just like the
Gucci
exit from fucking.
You could
Alright,
have
we
two
can
mains. You
find
could have
somewhere
left
which is
main
Gucci
and
main.
right main.
They're
Oh,
not left and right, they're in
seriously,
front
just
of
Because they're
each
fucking-
not left and right of each other.
Yes,
They're
they-
in front of each other.
Just standardise this, please. Outside of this fully charged meeting, please.
I don't
just
need to
standardise
standardize it
Just-
because it's just for our team. So fuck
Yeah, I
it.
was gonna say everyone else doesn't need to do anything because it's just fucking.
Yeah,
so-
you don't
causes
have to
team.
do what we do. Just because we call it fucking
We're
Russia and Japan.
trendsetters. Let's wrap this up by getting some predictions of what you think the best game is going to be. So predictions 1 to 4 of DreamHack and what you think the best matchup is going to be. We'll start with Bren.
100% Crowns versus what's her name? What's her name? Comfortably Swank.
Easy game.
100% is going to be the sickest game because Perilous are going to play like they're going to try and play aggressive, but Nameless are going to play like little bitches. And literally, I'm so fucking excited for the Crowns Comfortably Spank game because literally everyone on either side doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, so they're just going to start DMing each other, and it's just going to be. It's literally going to be the fucking most hype thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm prepared. I'm doing like fucking vocal warm-ups in preparation for this game. It's going to be.
Sorry, continue.
No. I'm pretty much finished. I'm fucking excited for the scrappy TF2. Please deliver.
I was just gonna say, I guess the uninitiated see it as just a DM fest.
Yeah, no, I don't have any game sense whatsoever, so I'm just gonna assume that everything is a DM sense. But just seriously, just put on a good show, and I will just scream constantly for like 2 hours.
Kaidus, where do you see the team stacking up, and what do you think the best matchup will be?
What, am I going like 1 to 4, or are we just
Mm.
saying? I think Nameless will win. Perilous will come second, have an incredibly close game with Comfortably Spanked, which will be the game of the tournament. And Crowns will come a miserable fourth, not even scratching the surface.
Well, thanks.
These are going to be
Wrecked.
savage. Cost.
Perilous, Nameless, Spanked Crowns. And us and Nameless will definitely be the most boring, suicide-inducing game of the tournament. So I'm gonna say Spanked and Crowns will be the best game because it's just a bunch of DM donkeys butting heads. So it'll be really fun to watch. Just idiots like Arms and Thaigrr colliding with other idiots. I don't even know who the Spanked soldiers are. Tom and Vanny. Yeah, there we go.
Bum.
I'll go Nameless, Perilous, Spanked, Crowns. And Crowns, Spanked will be the best game probably. Or the most exciting to watch, anyway.
And so far, nobody has predicted Crowns above fourth. I mean, the others have all changed.
Hold on. That's all about to change when you come to
Alright.
me.
We'll go Skeej next.
I think I agree with Cos's prediction, but yeah, us and Crowns will be
Even the
really
DM
close.
donkeys bit.
That's not a prediction. That's like an allegation.
How can you not
gospel.
predict your team first? Like, do you not have faith in your team, or?
You'll play to
No,
win.
I just don't. I don't want to pull an atomic, basically.
Fair. Thaigrr. Save it for Crowns.
We're gonna come third, at least. First, second, I don't care, as long as it's not spanked.
TF2 is dead.
The biggest match obviously going to be our match. It's just going to be the most fun to watch and play, I assume.
Well, interestingly, a lot of you rating the Crowns Comfortably Spanked game. They clashed in ETFL, took a map off each other, Comfortably Spanked won Viaduct. There is a preview, or maybe even, I don't even know whether you want to call it a preview, it's like the sandwich. It's the sandwich in the middle of the ETF2L game and the Dreamhack game. And you've got the fundraiser show match coming up on Monday, so that's in 2 days' time. Straight after Nameless play against, who are you playing? Comfortably Spanked?
Yep.
Alright, so Comfortably Spanked with a double header, Skeej.
Yeah, gonna be exciting.
I hear that Hank isn't available as well.
Not for the 21 game, no. So that's
I
the
see.
show match, but he is there for the official. His
Interesting.
power is gonna be out, so yeah.
Okie dokie.
It'll be our first game with the full Dreamhack roster as well, with Bevan.
Ah, you're playing with Bevan. Okay,
Yeah.
that will be interesting then. So you guys want to catch that one? That's being casted on TFTV, obviously at 21:30 on the 13th, so on Monday, and that is with Bren and Admirable. Bren, you're going to be warming up.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be like, how many hours of casting? I'm gonna be fine. I'm sure it's gonna be alright.
It's just a preview for you as well for the draining
Yeah.
vocal cord session, but
Exactly.
that one's going to be super exciting. A reminder that is in order to raise funds for Crowns and Comfortably Spanked as well. Let me just take a look at where we're at. I think we're at something like $250 out of $500, which was the target for the fundraiser show match. I'll post the link in chat as well. It's with Match Arena, who we're hoping to get a relationship going with them as well. They sponsor a lot of really cool tournaments that we could potentially run in the future. We're just kind of trying it out for this one just to see how the whole system works. So if you go on that page, actually, you can see Fully Charged happening as well because TFTV is embedded there. So there you go. Check that one out. You can win some cool publicly swag. There's going to be a raffle happening with signed mouse mats. You could get a mouse pad signed by Jason Allen himself, or
Really?
possibly even by Bren. Yeah. I'm gonna force you to do
I
autographs.
signed it
of
already.
this.
Oh, it's not signed already.
No. It's
I
gonna
thought
be
I
at the
signed
event.
it like 3 years ago or something. It's just been cracked out.
No, it's signed by any of the casters or players at the event, assuming they don't, assuming we're able to track them down. And there's also a full kit there with a headset, and in fact, I need that. I broke my headset recently. I have to use this AKG thing. But anyway, check that one out. See if there's anything you fancy, and donate to make the Dreamhack teams able to financially get there without bankrupting themselves.
Sideshow, that headset really brings out the forehead in you, by the way.
Brings out the gay in you, I think. Just a little bit.
It's yeah.
Look at the top of his head.
I think my hairline is just getting wider and wider. Look at that. It's just getting bigger. I am indeed. And so that's us finished on Fully Charged. We'll so catch the show match and then catch the event, which is of course happening on the 18th and 19th. We'll see you then.